Hey YouTube, it's your girl Dr. J, and today I am going to talk to you guys about the geography program that we're going to be doing this year in our homeschool. My oldest is really into geography. He's self-taught, lots of countries in the world and that sort of thing, and then my twins, they got interested, so I decided to go ahead and do a big geography unit with them this year, and I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about how we're going to do that. First thing we're going to do, we have these passport books, and they'll get both of them. They can decide how they want to decorate them and things like that. I've got each of these. There was they came in a set of 12. This one is just blank. This one has blank pages, and this one is a little bit like a traditional passport. And what we're going to do is, as we cover countries, we'll take stickers of the flag. I got one of these sticker books for each child. So as we cover the country, they will take out the sticker and put the sticker into their passport. So we'll be able to remember the different countries that we do. So my kids love depth. So I'm going to show you guys some of the things that we're going to do. The first thing that we're going to do is really talk about just kind of the concepts of geography and really mapping and map-based skills. So some of the things that we're going to hit, we have this book. My oldest has actually already read this book, but we're going to go through it again with the twins. Geography from A to Z. Just basically it tells you, things like the Gulf, what is highland, what's a hill, what's the mouth of a river versus an ocean. So it just goes through the alphabet, but really introduces the child to mapping terms. We got map workbooks. We're going to do a couple pages. I got 2nd grade level for my twins, and then I got 4th grade level for my oldest. It's not really in depth, so I'll probably just find interesting pages that they can do out of here, but there's not a lot of depth in it, so we won't do a lot of pages from it. And then we got follow that map, first book of mapping, Dr. Seuss book, There's a Map on My Lap. Me on the map, I'll read that book. And then globes and maps. So those are really the books that are going to introduce us to mapping skills, and we'll be creating our own world map as we go through different countries. Going to have blank maps, and they're going to be able to kind of go through those blank maps and fill them out as we visit different countries. And then we're going to do, I got this puzzle, and this is a world puzzle from Geo World, I think is the place that the puzzle came from. So we'll be putting together this puzzle. And then we also have these cards, and it just goes over the different countries, gives you the shape of the country, the capital of the country, and different information for each country. So we have that. And then we have, you guys know I like to confirm, we like to look things up and then confirm it. So we have Time World Atlas for Kids. This is well worn because my oldest, he sleeps with this book. He reads this book all the time. So it's just really good, lots of good information on various countries. He loves this book. We are going to be using this larger atlas. This is a World Atlas. This is not a atlas for children. This is a reference atlas. So I like to combine books for kids as well as just traditional books to make sure that they get the depth that they want. It's a Kingfisher World Atlas. Young People's Atlas. This is, again, well worn because my son uses this a lot, so we're going to use this. And DK, Geography of the World. So even though these have a lot of similar information, there's one more atlas. I don't think I have it. It may be in my son's bedroom, but they may all have similar information. But we'll look and see, we'll check copyright dates, because if there's different information, it may be because one book was published, 5 or 6 years ago, where the other book may have been published last year. So we'll look at how things change over time and that sort of stuff. And then they wanted to do particular countries. So I'll show you two of the countries that they chose. Like they chose Zimbabwe and China as two of the countries that they wanted to study first. So I got materials for that. First, I have books like these. Like this is Geography Through Art. And it gives me lots of great ideas that we can do, like arts and crafts that we can do as we're studying the different countries. So got that book. And then this is A Trip Around the World and Another Trip Around the World. So these books, they also have lots of ideas for different hands-on projects you can do based on the countries that you're choosing to look at. So we'll go through there and get different activities. And then this is hands-on history geography book, lots of geography activities. So I'll consult these books to just get lots of hands-on stuff we can do if I can't come up with things. For instance, one of the countries that they chose, my son chose Zimbabwe. Okay, he had already started reading this book. He really likes travel guides and different things like that. So this book is really neat, has tons and tons of information on Zimbabwe. So we will go through this book. We have one of those smart globes that, plays the national anthem and tells you about the language that they speak. So we'll use that and use this book. But I will be relying a lot on the internet for information on Zimbabwe too. I will, go to YouTube and see if I can find different things on like their any athletes from the Olympics and different things like that. My son, he will record the opening ceremony and sit down with a globe and like try to find each country and, what their athletes are doing and stuff like that. Yes, we recorded the opening ceremony, the country march, and he watches it. So we'll have that for him. Another country that my daughter requested was China. Now, there's a lot of resources on China, so we have tons and tons and tons of information on China. So here's the type of stuff we're going to be doing for China. These are some magazines. My husband took a trip to China, so he got these magazines for us. So we'll be looking through these things. This is a DVD cartoon where these kids visit the Great Wall of China, so we'll be watching that. And I have another DVD that they watch a lot that we'll pull that one back out. This is a book on the Terracotta Warriors, and we got this book actually from the High Museum in Atlanta when they had a Terracotta Soldiers exhibit. And we also have this really neat book, this really neat kit that has actual terracotta soldiers in it. Well, fake terracotta soldiers. So we will play with these little fun things, play with these little terracotta soldiers, and also use some clay to make our own terracotta soldiers. So we'll use these terracotta soldiers to form our own terracotta soldiers. And we have this book that we're going to use. It's also on the Terracotta Army, and this is what we're going to use to get ideas for how we're going to make our terracotta soldiers. So we'll read this book and then make our own. This actually, it's in the package because I bought this a long time ago and then I lost it, so I had to rebuy it because the kids were learning Mandarin for a little while. But this is English and Chinese, and this is just a song that they sing, all these little fun kids songs, but they sing it in English and Mandarin. So we will go through these, listen to these as we're studying China. And then this is a book on Mandarin, just gives different words, so we'll relearn some words because I'm sure we have forgotten it all. And write. Mandarin is also really, really fun to write. Really fun to write. So we'll do some writing as well. And this is a really neat book on ancient China, the Great Wall and beyond. And this is actually a 12 weeks unit study. We're not going to do 12 weeks on China, but we will take out different information from this book that might be good. And then if any of them want to do a more in-depth study on China, later we have the resources available. So they can do a more in-depth study, but we'll probably just spend a couple weeks on China. And then this is just some Mandarin flashcards. So, you know, has E. So 1, is 2. So, so we'll do that, and then we'll look up different things online and, get different information on that. But that's just how we're going to hit 2 of the countries, and I will probably let them choose a couple countries, every couple weeks or so, and then we'll get lots of information on those countries. And I know I have a lot of stuff, but I want them to have a more developed view of countries, because sometimes, you see some of these studies, like they'll talk about, okay, well, this is Australia and this is how Aborigines live. Okay, that may be how one community of people live, but that's not how everyone in that community lives. And I just want them to know that you can't pick up one book and read 3 paragraphs and know a country. It takes a lot more information than that. And so, for instance, we have friends that travel to China a lot. So we're going to, talk to them about what was your experience like. Daddy will come in, since Daddy spent some time in China, a quick visit, but still he can tell us about the Great Wall and, what was his experience, what was it like on the trains. So I really want them to have a really, really broad view and understand that the world is big and diverse. China is a very diverse country. So, even with the resources we have, that's still not going to tell you about China. And so that's one of the things that I want my kids to get out of the study of geography. Not just being able to just identify places on a map, but also know a little bit about that world and those places. And we do a lot of traveling, so we're definitely going to study the countries that we're going to be traveling to before we go, just to make sure that they have that fun experience. And I have a lot of different things planned. Like, for instance, one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to pretend to be travel agents. And so when we pretend to be travel agents, we're going to be preparing Americans to visit the country that we're studying. So we're going to say, okay, how would we prepare Americans with kids to go on a trip to Zimbabwe? So that at the end of our study of Zimbabwe, we're going to do a brochure. I may let the kids make a little commercial that we'll send to Grandma and Papa, so that they can talk about, being travel agents and taking kids on a trip to Zimbabwe. So sometimes we'll do like a little newspaper. So we'll say, okay, we'll make our own newspaper for English speakers on what's happening in that country today. So we're going to do lots of fun little things like that as well. But I want us to have a lot of fun with this study, and really hope the kids get into it. So hope that helps you see a little bit of how we're going to do geography. If you have any questions, feel free to post them below. Any comments, post them below. But thanks a lot. This is Dr. J. I'm out. Bye-bye.